What did a quiet kid say in class that ended up taking down the whole school? I'd been teaching 6th grade for 11 years, and the one thing I learned is that the quietest kid sees the most. So when Theo turned in his essay, I almost set it aside without reading it. Then I got to the 3rd sentence, and I read the whole thing 4 times. I didn't sleep for 3 nights after that. The assignment was simple. Write about an adult who helped your family. Most kids wrote about a grandparent or a coach. Theo wrote about our assistant principal, Mr. Calloway, and on the surface it was sweet. Mr. Calloway makes sure I stay in the smart class. He wrote, "Every month my mom puts cash in a white envelope so I can keep my spot. She says it's the only way." I read that line again and again, because there was no fee for the gifted program. There never had been. Mr. Calloway was the man everyone trusted. Firm handshake, perfect suit, his name on every banner in the gym. In the front lobby, he had built a sponsor wall, rows of little gold plaques honoring families who had invested in student excellence. Parents fought to get their name up there. He controlled the gifted roster, the field trip approvals, and the discipline files. Nothing happened in that building without his signature. So I started paying attention. Every name on that gold sponsor wall belonged to a kid in the gifted program. And the families who couldn't afford the wall always seemed to end up with extra detentions, lost paperwork, and behavioral flags that kept them out of the good programs. So I did what teachers do. I started keeping records. I talked to Theo's mom first, gently, after a parent-teacher meeting. Her hands shook when I mentioned the envelopes. $75 a month, she whispered. Cash. He said if I ever told anyone, Theo would be moved to the remedial track and it would follow him to high school. She had been paying for 2 years. $4,300 she didn't have, just to keep her son in a class he had earned on his own. She wasn't alone. Over the next month, I found 6 other families, all paying, all terrified. One single dad was handing over $100 a month. Calloway had a system. He only targeted the parents who were too scared or too poor to push back, and he buried everything in a program nobody ever audited. I documented all of it. Dates, amounts, the exact words he had used, but statements weren't enough. A man like Calloway would call it a misunderstanding, a confused parent, a disgruntled teacher. I needed him to hand me the proof himself, so I set the trap. I told Theo's mom to keep her next appointment, but this time the envelope was different. I had marked 7 $20 bills with an ultraviolet pen, invisible under normal light, glowing under a black light. I photographed every serial number. She paid him on a Tuesday at 3:40 in the afternoon. By Wednesday, I had confirmed the envelope was sitting in the bottom drawer of his desk, in a shoebox with a dozen others. The year-end awards assembly was that following Monday. The whole school packed into the gym, every parent, the superintendent, and 3 members of the school board, all there to watch Mr. Calloway hand out his excellent sponsor certificates in front of the sponsor wall he was so proud of. He was mid-speech, holding up a gold plaque when I walked to the side microphone. "Before we continue," I said, "I think the families on that wall deserve to know what they actually paid for." Calloway laughed into his mic. "I'm sure my colleague is excited, but we're in the middle of $75 a month," I said. "Cash, in white envelopes, to stay in a program that is free." The gym went silent. "I have signed statements from 7 families. I have the dates, I have the amounts." His smile cracked. "This is absurd. You can't prove a single." "There's a shoebox in the bottom right drawer of your desk," I said. "And right now, those envelopes are full of bills I marked myself." I nodded to the superintendent. He had already sent someone. The office door opened, and an officer walked in carrying the shoebox. Calloway lunged for it, but it was too late. Under the black light, one of the board members raised. The 20s lit up like fireflies, every serial number matching the photos in my folder. The superintendent took the microphone from Calloway's frozen hand and turned to the sponsor wall behind him. "This isn't a wall of donors," he said quietly. "It's a list of every family this man extorted." Calloway was escorted out of his own assembly, while 400 parents watched in silence. The last thing I saw was Theo's mom, standing in the back row, finally crying for a reason that wasn't fear.